Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am Erin Medley alongside Vicki Hyman. Vicki, how are you?
I'm a little under the weather.
I could tell. What's going on?
You were telling me not to breathe so heavily into the mic.
Well,
I think it's just a midsummer.
I think your whole, the entire features team is sickly.
Yeah, we're not doing well this week.
It's gross because we're in my office, which doubles as our studio.
Yes.
And now I have to worry about germs.
Yeah, so you should definitely Purell this entire office after I leave.
I'm going to spray it down. So I want to just I can't just hop right into the news. I have to tell people how they can contact us.
Oh, of course, of course.
What would a show be without reciting these really long email address? TV Hangover Show at NJ.com, or you can tweet us. It's easier. At TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, or at Vicki High, VICKIHY. Okay, now let's get into the news. We have some sad news to report. If you haven't heard, legendary TV and film producer and director Gary Marshall has died at the age of 81. He was the mastermind behind such TV shows as Mork and Mindy, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and what I most fondly remember him for are some of his recent directing credits for those really terrible movies based on holidays like New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, and Mother's Day.
Good.
Oh, they were the worst. You cannot have a movie with more than 3 superstars, and those had 20 each. But sad news on his passing. Vicki, were you a fan of any of his
Oh my
TV
God.
shows?
I mean, this is when I was growing up. I mean, Happy Days, of course. Laverne and Shirley to me was like, I wanted to be Laverne and Shirley.
Schlemazel, Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated. We're gonna do it.
I thought that was the life that I aspired to. Working in a pizzeria, living underground,
and really living next to Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah, really, seriously, I was like, wow, working with. I mean, I really thought it was cool. I found it very aspirational, believe it or not.
Agreed.
And of course, Mork and Mindy was, it got pretty bad towards the end, but I mean, just unleashed Robin Williams. I mean, It was pretty unusual. He was allowed to just sort of it wasn't so much a sitcom, it's just Robin Williams riffing a lot.
Right.
And it was really interesting and groundbreaking. And I was very sad to hear this news.
Well, in looking at his filmography, I saw a movie that he directed that I completely forgotten about, but that I love.
Which one?
Exit to Eden.
Okay.
No, you have no idea.
No.
It's from 1994, so this is prime HBO time, when the same movie would air, 5 times in a day. And it was an adult movie. It was I definitely think it was rated R. It starred Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my God, I know that movie.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Comedy.
It's a comedy. And
where
they go to
FBI agents who go underground in an S&M club. Oh my God, yes.
So
I remember.
Let me remind you. So this came out in 94. So let's say it was probably on HBO in 95 or 96, because back then movies went to HBO immediately.
I still have the cover of that VHS box seared in my mind from
because
going to Blockbuster on Saturday nights.
A patent leather harness.
They're both
situation.
wearing harnesses.
I was 12 when this movie came out, and I watched that movie multiple times.
Oh my God.
It was funny though. It was funny for what it was. So Exit to Eden, some of Gary Marshall's best work. He will be missed. In other news, Sunday night was a big night on television. You know what, Vicki?
What?
I will say that the doldrums of summer are over. There's something on every single night. I have so much TV to watch.
Well, for me, it's really more catching up. There's not a whole lot going on during the week.
I disagree.
What are you watching during the week?
Okay, so on Mondays, not so much. I mean, if you're into The Bachelorette, that's on. But, there's Love and Hip Hop.
Unreal, of course, which we'll discuss later.
Which we will discuss. And maybe a Real Housewife or something. Tuesdays, Real Housewives of OC. Oh my God, I can't even remember what I watched last night. So many things. I was catching up on a lot.
For the non-reality person.
Okay.
What am I supposed to be watching?
Okay, so on Wednesdays, we have
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, which will Mr. Robot Suits is on Wednesdays. And then for more reality TV, Little Women LA, Little Women Atlanta, both are rich.
Can I just
shows.
tell you, like, we were watching, my husband and I were watching Unreal last night, and then at the very end, whatever the Little Women comes on, and like his mind, he's like, what is this?
It's greatness.
And I'm like, it's like Real Housewives of Little People.
No, it's not.
Yes, oh my God,
it's
I had to watch
like
it.
Real Housewives. First of all, none of these people are like, well, which one were you watching, LA or Atlanta?
I was watching, the one that you made me watch was, I thought it was New York.
Okay, yeah, but that's like the worst of the three.
Okay, well, that's the one I had to watch.
Okay, but that's not the one that came on this week because that's not on now. But it was probably Little Women of LA, which this season is ridiculous because there are 3 pregnant Little Women, but there's still lots of drama. It's not like it's trashier than a Real Housewives.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying that it's just like...
But your only frame of reference for reality is like...
I think we had this discussion last year in that, like, is it equality for little people to have the same sort of trashy television as...
Absolutely. Because why not? The only difference is that they're little.
Well, because in the not Real Housewives in New York, in the Little People version, Little Women, thank you, New York, they had this whole discussion amongst the Little Women about how they didn't want to participate in some sort of burlesque thing because it took away their dignity as little people. And I was like, well, you're on this show that is all about taking away the dignity of
people in general. That's fine. That's different.
I can't believe we got on this. I'm sorry. No. I apologize. I'm the one who did this.
But look, I learned things about, dwarfism that I would otherwise not know. They talk about like, achondroplasia, or if like there are 2 little people who try to have a baby and the baby gets the genes, like both parents' genes, like the baby could die. Like you learn things, but then they also fight, and it's amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, didn't you learn those things when they were? It's just the regular little people who were on, as opposed to the trashy ones who were on like TLC or whatever channels they're on.
No, because I didn't watch those.
Okay.
So I'm drawn in by the trash.
Okay, I get it now.
Hello.
Okay. For people who have to watch trash, this is their way to be educated.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
However you learn, people, however you learn is fine. But Sunday night television is a busy night. We have our Real Housewives. We have the night of. We now have Ballers, Vice Principals, which, both of those shows premiered this past Sunday. And the ratings were okay. Ballers opened its second season with a 0.8 in the demo, which is 18 to 49, which was down from 1.1 in the demo in their first season premiere. But it had a total of 1.5 viewers. Then it was followed by Vice Principals, which stars Danny McBride.
And the guy from Justified. I can't remember his name.
The other guy.
That guy.
And that...
Walton Goggins. Excuse me.
And that had 1.2 million total viewers. So it went down from Ballers. But I could see that happening. They're not really... To me, they don't appeal to the same audience. And a 0.5 in the demo. So, did you watch Ballers?
I watched both of them.
Did you watch Ballers season 1?
I was a big fan of Ballers season 1.
Me too.
It's like surprisingly. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen The Rock in anything, and I was.
What?
I'm serious. I'd never watched any of those movies that he was in. I never watched any Fast and Furious.
Fairy.
Never watched that. That was my next thing. That was my next thing. I was like, I never watched it. But anyway, I was actually very taken in by The Rock's charisma. And that man is just composed of charisma.
Yes.
And I really liked it.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? It's charisma.
It sort of got a rap at the beginning, like it's just Entourage with sports, but I thought it was actually deeper than Entourage. I thought that they tackled some issues really interestingly. They certainly brought up the injuries and the brain problems that go with being in professional sports. I really liked it. I think the second season looks to be very solid. I think it's a solid comedy. I love Andy Garcia. Love Andy Garcia as a villain. So basically, this set up the second season as The Rock is going to get back at Andy Garcia, who apparently mismanaged his money and did something.
I'm going to be honest with you. I sat there and watched the whole, 30 minutes, 20, whatever it is. I have no idea what happened. I couldn't tell you one thing that happened. I know there was a party and there were strippers and naked ladies, and that's all I got out of it. I don't know if it was just the content wasn't pulling me in or I wasn't really paying attention. I'm going to have to watch it again.
It wasn't flashy. It just set everything in motion for the season.
There was tons of flashing.
Yes, there was a lot of flashing when Ricky decided. It looks like Ricky's going to be cut from the Dolphins.
Sure.
You're not going to get as much money. I'm not really sure what's going on
there.
there.
I know Ricky was turning 30. And
He's
he wanted to do
30.
30 for 30.
Yes.
And that's only 30 people at the party.
Until he realizes he's not going to get as much money as he wants or he's going to be cut and he decides to go to the fun house.
Right. I missed all of that.
I enjoy Charles Green a lot, the car salesman who decides to go back.
He was one of my favorite characters in season 1.
Yeah, again, not very much going on here, but, I still enjoyed it.
You know what? I mean, it's not a show I'm going to give up on right away. I will watch the premiere again for the 3rd time and see if I can pick up what's going on, and I'll keep watching. Vice Principals. I liked it.
Again, it's very solid.
It's funny. It's about these two guys. Shoot. Who's the principal?
Bill Murray.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
God.
I just had a brain fart. Okay, Bill Murray is the principal at the school. He's retiring because his wife has melanoma. And so there are two... they're both vice principals.
They're both vice principals.
And they're vying for the position, and it turns out neither one of them gets it. This is not spoiling anything. And they bring in... not only a woman, an African-American woman who's also a doctor, which I find all of that very amusing and contributes to the plot point. And so they both decide, we are going to band together to get that principal job. I will
Two
say,
incredibly immature, ill-equipped to be principal.
Both
vice
are immature.
principals.
I would say that Danny McBride's character.
Oh, he's more.
Most,
yes, he is more. But Walton Goggins' character is he's
the perfect kiss ass.
Yes,
he knows how to suck up and get what he wants, which I think is amusing. Whereas Danny McBride's character is so. He's
completely unself-aware.
That's what I was like, he's not self-aware at all. And he knows how to get what he wants, but he's just a bumbling fool about it, so it never works out.
One of my favorite little moments of the show is he's married. His ex-wife is Busy Phillips, who is remarried to this guy who, he tries to be nice to Danny McBride, to Gamby, and he's just a cool dude, and Gamby can't, every niceness that he puts on him, Gamby just shoots down, and I really love seeing their little scenes together.
It's not the best comedy I've ever seen, and it's not really my brand of comedy, but will I continue watching it? Sure, because I want to see what happens.
And it's a hell of a lot better than The Brink, which was the comedy from last season that was paired with Ballers.
Oh. Yes, that is true. Way better than The Brink. So Sunday, even though right now I can't articulate all the shows that I watch, I am watching a lot of TV this summer, and I am happy about that. Something that we didn't miss it. The Academy poorly timed their announcements, but the Emmy Awards were
nominations. Yes, I was on vacation, so that's my excuse.
Announced last week on Thursday, and I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by some of the nominees, and then some of the snubs. I was also like, "What?"
Yes. So, do you want to talk about a big surprise and a big snub for you?
Yes. So I was mostly surprised by the best outstanding lead actor in a drama series because I picked a lot of these people on my list when we did it. Okay, so I selected Kit Harington for Game of Thrones, Matthew Rhys for The Americans, Justin Theroux for Leftovers, and Rami Malek for Mr. Robot. The actual list is Kyle Chandler for Bloodline, Rami Malek for Mr. Robot, Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul, which I think you had on your list.
And Rami Malek, too.
Yeah, and Matthew Rhys for The Americans, Liev Schreiber for Ray Donovan, and Kevin Spacey for House of Cards. I was surprised Rami Malek made the list.
I wasn't surprised.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a darling. I think it's a show that people like. They want to award.
But
Christian Slater did not get nominated.
Yeah, I don't think he should have been.
Well, I kind of agree with you there, but yeah. Okay. Just saying, he did get the Golden Globe, I believe. Christian Slater,
did he?
I think so.
I don't know. We'll have to look that. We'll have to fact check that. But on that list is also Matthew Rhys for The Americans.
Yes, Americans got a lot of love this year.
They did get
Kerry
a lot
Russell,
of love.
best drama too, right?
Yes. That was, to me, surprising
breakthrough.
All around. A breakthrough in its fourth season.
Its fourth season with only 2 seasons to go.
Correct. Glad they made
can I
it.
point something out?
Yes.
We have been very confused about Game of Thrones and which season gets nominated for which. This Emmys is actually the season just ended. Season 6. It wasn't the terrible season 5.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I checked it this morning.
Oh, okay.
It's season 6.
All right.
So
well, then
everything makes sense. We're very happy with Game of Thrones,
because
which
last
got
season
23 nominations, I think.
It did. It led the pack as far as shows are concerned. Big snub. No nominations for The Good Wife.
Yes.
Not even Christine Baranski, the slap heard around the world, and nothing.
Yeah, well...
Final season, out the door, done.
Yeah.
I guess they figured it wasn't a Mad Men situation where, like, John Hamm didn't win until the end.
Yeah.
Like, Juliana Margulies has won.
At least twice, right?
At least twice, yeah. So, all right, fine. What were your shockers?
I was surprised that... well, I'm not exactly surprised. Girls, I think, had its best season ever and didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that these people were maturing and they didn't like the more grown-up tone of it. I loved it. I don't know. I was surprised it got nothing, even for Adam Driver.
I thought, again, we both agree that Girls was good, but when I compare it to the other people in those categories or the other shows, I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
I think it just should have been in Best Comedy. It's fine. They don't want to give acting nominations. That's fine.
So,
I think it still is one of the best comedies.
So who do we have in comedy? We have Blackish, Master of None, Modern Family, Silicon Valley, Transparent, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Veep. So if you had to toss one of those for girls,
let me see the list again.
It's this one here. It's very hard to read.
Yeah.
This ballot I printed out.
Am I actually going to say Modern Family? Because, Blackish is the new Modern Family.
But Blackish is really funny.
It is what I'm saying. Blackish is the new Modern Family.
And
you see that they got no...
acting.
They got... No, Ty Burrell got nominated, but that was it.
I can see that. So...
I was happy to see Aziz
so
Ansari
so you're
get nominated.
Saying you would kick out Modern Family
I would
and put girls.
And put girls in, yes. I would. And I love Modern Family.
But do you think the problem is that Girls this season wasn't really that funny? It wasn't funny.
Well, I mean, Transparent is there, and Transparent is not that funny.
That's true, but Orange is the New Black is also not funny. Talk about
Is Orange is the New Black? I thought that was drama now.
It is a drama now, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe Girls would have a better shot if it was a drama.
Yes, maybe.
Or not, because Orange is the New Black was mostly snubbed. But go ahead, what were you going to...
I liked Aziz Ansari getting a nod for both Master of None got Best Series, which I was a little surprised about, but I'm happy with. And I'm happy to see him get lead actor. I was surprised that Outlander got very little love except in the more technical categories.
Why are you surprised?
I think it's a wonderful show.
Yeah, but Outlander is like The Walking Dead.
What are you talking about?
When have you ever seen The Walking Dead, which is a show watched by millions of people, beloved by many people, be nominated for a big Emmy?
I think that Outlander's a better show than The Walking Dead. I think it is much better. It's much better directed. It's much better cast. Katrina Balfe is, however you say her damn name,
yes,
is amazing. And I was very surprised. I'm allowed to be surprised, Erin.
I know, but I think that's like, hoping the sun won't rise tomorrow. Like, it's just not going to happen.
They got some love at the Golden Globes. I thought they'd get a little bit more Emmy love.
All right.
And I was sad, but not surprised. No love for The Leftovers.
No, zero. Yeah. But you know what? I think the problem is the timing. So the Leftovers and Homeland are both on around the same time. But Homeland is an established show, and the first
it's
few
one of those
seasons,
things people are like, yes, they're just gonna press the button.
Exactly. Whereas The Leftovers, it really came in. I mean, I like season 1 too, but season 2, it really came into its own. But that was like back in September, so I don't think people remember.
I was actually glad there was no love for Billions, because I was kind of really annoyed by that show.
No acting love or series love.
The one thing I was really surprised about with OJ was that Cuba Gooding got a Best Actor in a limited series, supposed to Best Supporting Actor, along with Courtney B. Vance. I was surprised that Cuba Gooding got Best Actor. But how
could you not have? It's called OJ.
It is,
whatever.
But it was mostly about the lawyers, and that's why I'm saying I think supporting actor fine. But I was surprised that he landed in the. Well, I mean, he didn't land there; they put him in there. They nominated him for it.
Right.
I was surprised he got the nomination.
They received 3 nominations in supporting actor. So Sterling K. Brown, David Schwimmer, and John Travolta. So that would be Chris Darden, Kardashian, and who did John Travolta play again?
Who did what?
John Travolta.
Oh, he played Robert Shapiro.
That's
not very
right.
well, in my opinion.
Well, he got a nomination. And then in Outstanding Supporting Actress, no one, because Was Marcia Clark really?
Well, Sarah Paulson got lead actress.
Right, but I'm saying, were there no other supporting
female
actresses?
Well, they're not going to give it to Connie Britton because she was also just dreadful.
She was in like one episode.
I know, and she was so dreadful in it. Faye Shapiro?
Right.
Faye Shapiro?
No,
Faye Resnick. Sorry.
True. And then we had Cuba Gooding Jr. And
sorry, is it Cuba
or Cuba? No, I feel like he used to say Cuba.
Okay, sorry.
Like back in the day. Remember his brother Omar?
No.
He hosted that show on Nickelodeon where kids competed and stuff.
No.
Okay, fine. And then Courtney B. Vance, and then Sarah Paulson. So yeah, I mean, the show did well. The limited series.
Great. It did great. That was the one thing I was surprised about. And Maisie Williams, Arya Stark.
Oh yeah,
she got nominated for Best Supporting
Actress. But that
was
was for this season.
It was, which is great. No, I'm not saying I'm surprised. I'm just happy to see it.
No, but do you think she deserved it for this season? I would say if it was this season, then it should have been what's her name, Sophie.
Oh, Sansa. Yeah,
Sansa.
Sophie Turner.
Turner. Yeah, she should have been nominated.
Yeah.
She was great this season.
I just love Arya.
Blindly.
I know.
Look at that pun. Any other things you want to point out here?
No, that's pretty much it.
So who do you think, just quickly, in the Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, we have Maura Tierney for The Affair, Maggie Smith for Downton Abbey, Lena Headey.
The only Downton Abbey nomination.
Amelia Clark and Maisie Williams, all Game of Thrones, and then Constance Zimmer with the
first season of Unreal. I also checked that out.
Yes, I think I had her on my list too.
You know, I'm actually wondering how bad the second season of Unreal is actually going to hurt her for this. People be like, Unreal is so terrible now, let's not vote for her.
Right. Well, do you think that Shiri Appleby should have been nominated if they're going on season 1 of Unreal?
Well, you'd have to tell me again who was in the Best Actress.
So in Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama, we have Claire Danes for Homeland, Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder, Taraji P. Henson, Empire, Tatiana Maslany, Orphan Black, Kerry Russell, The Americans, and Robin Wright, House of Cards. I would get rid of Viola Davis or Claire Danes.
Or who was
Claire Danes?
Yes, exactly. I would
put in Shiri Appleby.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we didn't make these nominations.
No, we did not.
So there's that. So we will be watching the Emmys, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel in September. We'll be back to talk about that then. Let's move on to discuss the awful,
oh my God,
terrible, no good, very bad second season of Unreal.
Specifically, can we talk about the last episode from Monday night?
Well, here's the thing. We were supposed to talk about this on last week's podcast, where I thought that episode, like the episode from last Monday,
which I hadn't seen at that point,
was like over the top the worst. And then I watched the episode from this week.
Oh
and I was like, are they progressively getting worse?
Oh, this is like exponentially getting worse. This was like terrible. Okay, tell me what happened.
So here's what happened in this episode. So in last week's episode, Rachel had a breakdown because her ex-boyfriend, the camera guy, Jeremy, almost assaulted. Well, he did assault her.
Absolutely assaulted her.
Okay, so she had a breakdown, and then this week when we come back, she's fine. She's back to normal. Rachel, they're back on set. Freddie Stroma's character, what's his character's name? Adam shows up. He was the suitor from last season, so that now
he didn't just show up. Quinn called him because the core relationship is Quinn and Rachel, and Quinn is trying to get at Rachel,
right? Which is part of the problem, but we'll get there. Yeah. And so Adam shows up and tries to win Rachel back, and Rachel's having none of it because she's in a relationship with Coleman. I knew it started with a K. She's in a relationship with Coleman. And, they're supposed to be this dynamic producing duo, right? And so there's tension there, and she tries to prove to Adam that she really loves Coleman and that she's happy now, yada, yada, yada. So then the suitor, the black suitor, Darius, thank you.
That's my job here. I'm just providing
You're the name
names.
person. So Darius is a little weirded out by something that happens with Ashes on one of his dates. It's like
he was forced to go to the South, and
that was the previous week,
had a gun pointed at him by
and
the
accused
Confederate
of
bikini wearing. Yes, it was
whatever
ridiculous.
her name is.
Yeah.
And so he was upset. So he took 2 of the women and his friend who came back, Romeo, thank you, who Rachel had sort of exiled a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He came back. They went out joyriding in a Bentley, and I'm trying not to add any color commentary. Rachel says, let's call the cops on them. And Coleman says, well, that could end badly. And Rachel says it could. And that's how they're going to win and like become these great producers and take over the network. They call the cops. The cops pull the car over and, things happen. Rachel runs out.
She sees it going badly.
Look, I'm exhausted recapping this nonsense.
But you didn't get to the worst part.
So then the police officer shoots Romeo. Now Romeo's in the hospital. He hasn't died. We don't know if he's
not dead.
He's not dead
yet.
And now Rachel has completely gone off the deep end. She calls her mother and she's in the psych ward. Mm-hmm. Does that sum it up?
That sums it up.
Nonsense.
Yes.
Vicky, where did the show go wrong?
Okay, can we first talk about the issue, how they are handling race here?
Oh, so do you want to talk about it from the beginning or you want to talk about it in this episode?
Let's talk about it from the beginning a little bit.
Okay.
Rachel's idea, so Rachel is stuck on Everlasting, and they keep on asking her, and Adam actually asked her last night, why are you still in this horrible soul-sucking vortex of horribleness?
Right.
And she can't answer it. And quite frankly,
no, she does answer it. She says she thinks she's doing good.
She thinks she's doing good, but she knows that's ridiculous.
And then Adam goes, you are shooting a scene where your suitor is on a fake date on a fake boat in a fake lake. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so. Also, I didn't understand why that was the case. That can't possibly be what happens on these reality shows. They're not in fake boats. They're actually in a real boat.
Yes.
So
okay,
wait. Are we going back to race? Because I'm ready to go off the deep end about why this show is all wrong this season.
Okay,
go ahead.
So Rachel brings on a black suit and thinks she's going to change the world because 16 million people watch Everlasting.
Right.
Never had a black suitor. And yet the fact that, it's just not even really part of it's sporadically part of the show, the racial issues
of Everlasting.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like anybody's really interested in this, and she doesn't seem to care that nobody seems to be interested in this. She just keeps thinking she's making groundbreaking television. Right. So they keep talking about it as if she's changing hearts and minds. There's no evidence she's actually doing it. And she's just making horrible choices all along for this guy. He's basically a puppet, which is
Coleman?
No,
Darius.
Well, she calls Adam a meat puppet, but Darius is also a puppet for her.
They're all puppets.
So you have a white girl, mm-hmm. Who thinks that she's going to change everybody's mind about racism. In reality, she's just manipulating a black man and making him her puppet. But then you get to this episode where she tries to make this story about police brutality and shootings. And let me just say, they put that thing at the beginning about...
I didn't even see it.
Oh, yeah. There was a little notice saying, we're going to be talking this episode about issues of race and police brutality and just... It's kind of an FYI. I mean, sort of like those things call the suicide hotline thing.
Oh, but no. yeah. If you or anyone
I know, it was weird. I'm sure they didn't realize that it was going to be this on point with the recent shootings and the attacks on the police officers.
I think I read a story that said they wrote this script months ago, and they thought,
they did.
Yeah.
But it's kind of really, really on point, but also really tacky. But the main issue I have is that so they're trying to make a statement about police brutality, and yet it is a subplot that is pushed aside. It reminded me of Game of Thrones when Sansa gets raped, but it's all told from Theon's point of view.
Right.
And it's that's what I felt like when I'm watching this. It's they're trying to make this statement about it, but it's all about Rachel.
Who's they?
That's
creators
the thing.
Of the show?
The creators, Rachel,
the writers?
and the creators of the show. I don't understand what the creators of the show are even doing here.
I don't think they know what they're.
I think are they trying to make this is the question? Are they trying to make a grand statement about race, or is their grand statement about race the fact that white people can't make grand statements about race?
No,
I don't know.
No,
I have no idea.
None of the above. I'll tell you what they're doing. This is what's happening. They have bought into their own hype. So the reason why people love season 1 of Unreal is because you felt like it took you behind the curtain, and then there was a little bit of like soapiness and drama. It was
very specific.
And it was very specific. They bought into the hype. They were like, we killed it season 1. People love us. Let's make it even more over the top, more drama, more controversy, and this is how we're going to win. And I think that's been their greatest downfall, because the decisions that their characters are making no longer ring true. And that to me is always how a show goes wrong. If I can't believe that this character that I've grown to know would make this decision, then the whole storyline falls apart. So when Coleman says to Rachel, if we call the police, this could go bad, and Rachel looks at him like that's okay, I don't think that's something that Rachel would do. I think that the one thing that we've held on to throughout with Rachel is that, yes, she is, a producer, and she wants to get the story, and she is.
But there are lines she wouldn't cross.
But there are lines
like with the first season. She's not the one who swapped out the meds that let the woman to commit suicide.
Correct. Here's
that was somebody else.
Say. She is not Quinn. Rachel is not Quinn. And in that moment, I felt like she was Quinn. And I don't know, maybe that's where they're leading her. But again, the breakdown that she has after Romeo gets shot, and the fact that she has to be, medicated, shows me that she's not Quinn. Like, that's not where she's going. That's not where her head is. So that to me did not ring true, and that's when I was out. Before he even got shot, I was like, oh, this is.
Well, I'm sorry, but as soon as Romeo showed up, I was like, he's going to get shot.
That's the other thing. You bring the guy back just to shoot him.
Yes, that was it.
That was.
I turned to my husband. I was like, he's going to shoot. They're going to shoot Romeo.
Right. Yeah. He only had 2 lines, and then he got shot.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just ridiculous. I can't support this show anymore. It sort of makes me feel like everything that happened in season 1 it was unreal. Yeah. It wasn't real. Like, it's a completely different show.
For me, it's like, I agree that the Rachel character is all over the place, completely unbelievable. I think that they are actually still doing a good job by Quinn. I think Quinn, and it's about Quinn and Rachel's relationship. I think Quinn looks at Rachel to sort of validate the choices she has made in her life. So she wants Rachel to do what she's done to make her feel better about what she has done.
Right.
And I think we've been seeing that pretty solidly throughout. So I'm actually okay with that. Yes.
You can always depend on Quinn to make the wrong decision. Or the decision that a normal human being
wouldn't make, but right for Quinn.
For her. Correct. That's true.
And then there's the shooting that they're trying to, make a statement on, or you're saying they're not trying to make.
I don't think they're trying.
Whatever they're doing here,
they did it poorly.
There are so many B and C plots at this point. So now we have hot Rachel, who meets up with Jeremy and has like a secret recording where Jeremy's going to spill his guts about all the shady stuff that happened on Unreal. It's like, what is going on there?
Right. Like, well, who is hot Rachel? Yeah. What is she doing there? And can we just pick the winner already?
Yeah.
And then the season be over. How many episodes?
Well, actually, and the other thing I think they failed at is that they actually did humanize the contestants in the first season. Yes. And the only person they humanized in this one was the black activist. I felt,
and now she's
Ruby,
gone,
and she's gone, and like everybody, like I think it was just last episode where I was like, oh, there's a black police officer.
Yes,
I'm like, who is this woman?
She's in the background.
Yeah, like, and now she's one of the last 4 people. It's like, I don't know anything about any of these people.
And we had the black woman whose fiance died
because she killed him, I think, accidentally.
Right, allegedly. Well, we only have 3 episodes left.
I
had to check because I don't know how much more I can do. That was Monday night's episode was episode 7. Mm-hmm. And the whole Adam storyline.
I was just about to bring that up. It's like, first of all, yes, they had some sort of like meeting of the minds last season. They had a lot of sex, but I never ever got the impression that they were like soulmates. And again, I also felt that her jumping into bed with Coleman, and Coleman, who seems normal,
he does,
jumping into bed with her so quickly, and suddenly their loves of their lives are going to like make great television together. I never believed it either.
Correct.
So there's so much stuff going on this season.
There are so many things happening on Unreal that it is unreal. And, I think it has already been picked up for season 3. They need to right this ship immediately.
This won a Peabody, people. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It is a spectacular failure. And that brings us to our discussion about shows with terrible second seasons.
Yes.
I have a list. Do you have a list?
I have a list too.
All right, let's go back and forth.
But I'm like, I worry that my list is too obvious.
My list is probably too obvious too.
Okay.
All right, so what do you have first?
Okay, Twin Peaks.
Didn't watch it, but tell me more.
Okay, Twin Peaks, first season, completely unlike anything that had been on television before, incredibly moody, stylized, weird, super weird, built around a great mystery, and then they solved the mystery, and all they had was the weirdness left, and they didn't really know. I mean, it is classic, terrible second season. I never even finished watching the second season, I admit it.
It's one of those shows where there's a great concept for the first season, and then the creators don't think past that.
Authors talk about this a lot, where they've been working on their book for like 10 years, and it's a success, and then they have like 6 months to come up with their second book, which is why it's terrible.
Right. But it's also why limited series work.
Exactly, which is what I've been saying for so long.
Which
some of these things, it just be a limited series.
Which brings me to a recent airing of a second season that I thought was not that great based on the first episode, and that would be Wayward Pines.
Oh, yes.
It was a limited series for a reason, people.
Yes.
It was a limited series for a reason.
People get greedy, too. It's like, that worked. Although M. Night Shyamalan and I think the guy who wrote the books, they said, we're not going to come back unless they have a really good idea for the second season. And I think I lasted 3 episodes.
Oh, you did?
I did.
No, I didn't.
And I thought it was terrible.
I know. See, I was out after that first episode. What else do you have on there?
I have Heroes, although...
my gosh, I have Heroes.
The caveat is that it went terrible in the last episode of the first season.
True.
The finale in Kirby Plaza was one of the most horrible hours of television I've ever and I was like, what is going on?
But everything
here?
before that was great.
It was amazing.
It was good.
And then it just went to complete, you know what?
Yes.
And then, I watched the second season, and they introduced all the new characters, and I don't know.
I watched
terrible.
the reboot.
I watched some of the reboots.
Which I didn't think was terrible. I think it was fine.
I thought it started off fairly well.
I was glad it didn't come back.
It fell off my list.
Okay. I have on here Friday Night Lights, one of my favorite shows of all time.
The second season is struggled.
Second season, when Landry and Tyra had to cover up the murder. It was like, where murder? I thought we were playing football. Like, what happened? But as all critics will say, that was also the year of the writer's strike.
Yes, which I think actually had something to do with Heroes as well.
Yeah, oh, maybe, yeah. So we can forgive that second season of Friday Night Lights because it rebounded after that.
Yeah. I'm going to have to also go with True Detective.
Oh.
Although I did not hate the second season as much as everybody else hated the second season. I thought that there were some good things I thought there were like some good performances, but it was so overly plotted and too dependent on style, I think, at some points, that I think it was just too complicated by half. It was not good. But still some good things about it.
Well, on my list, and I can't think of one redeeming factor, How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh my God, how did I forget about that one?
Season 2.
Well, exactly the same problem.
Tragic.
Right? I mean,
same problem.
What is going on here?
And the thing about it is that I will commend them for not going to a full 22 episode second season, but it was still a not great 13 or however many episodes there were. All right, what else do you have on your list?
I have The Killing. Their fatal flaw was that, and they said, we didn't really promise that we're going to tell you who the murderer was at the end of the first season, but they pretty much did, and then they didn't. And then, so this pretty effective, very evocative murder series anchored by 2 excellent actors ended up sort of like dragging itself over the finish line in the second season. But then I think it came back. I liked the third season. I didn't watch the fourth, which I think maybe was on Netflix or something. I don't remember. Third season was good, though.
All right. Well, I like when the shows can rebound. Like, the second season doesn't have to be the nail in the coffin. Like, I really hope when Unreal comes back for season 3 that they get it together. Or when How to Get Away with Murder comes back for season 3, they get that together as well. Finally, on my list, I have, and this could be controversial, again, another one of my favorite shows of all time, The Wire season 2 at the docks. I was not into it.
Huh.
I got into it near the end.
Well, it's funny because when I look back, it wasn't my favorite season.
Right.
But I had no problems with it when I was watching it. But, it's in comparison to, how incredibly amazing and effective and perfect the other seasons were. Although I had my issues with the newspaper one because I work for the newspapers. Okay. So I had some issues with that. But I did feel it was the weakest season.
I thought, it took me 4 or 5 episodes to really even get into that season, and I wasn't that into it. So I would say the exception on this list, and I think you will agree, is that a show that had a good first season and an excellent second season, The Leftovers.
Yes, I would argue that it had an excellent first season and a spectacular second season.
I can agree with that. I can completely agree with that. Do you have any others on your list?
No, that was it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of TV Hangover. If you have any shows that you think failed spectacularly, to use Vicki's word, in their second seasons, tweet us at TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, or at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. We will be back next week with another episode. Don't forget to watch us on Facebook Live at facebook.com/NJ.com on Mondays for our Real Housewives of New Jersey recap.